On the Wake Up Radio presents The Center with your host, DC Radical One.
Greetings, Black family, and welcome to On the Wake Up Radio. I am your host, DC Radical One, and you have entered the center. Shout out to our wonderful producer, Cindy Ashby. You can check us out on SoundCloud, YouTube, iTunes Podcast, Google Play, Stitcher, Spotify, and iHeartRadio at On the Wake Up Radio. Also, you can check us out. Actually, more important than all that, you can check us out at otw2.com. That's otw2.com. And also, you can check us out at onthewakeupradio.com, where many of these shows are simulcast. And I'm not sure about today's show because I don't see our wonderful producer. She probably has another show to attend to as well, because this is not my normal time slot. This is a special episode of the Center Live. And, every now and then we do the Saturday night relationship centered shows. And this is one of those. And so what we're going to do is, because we normally have a mix of brothers and sisters, and usually the sisters kind of get shortchanged, sometimes due to their own technology, sometimes for them showing up not quite on time, sometimes because brothers want to hog the mic. So we decided today that we're going to let the sisters speak. And I have a couple of guests who are here already. I'm expecting at least two more. And so before we do that, we'll cover some business real quick, and then we're going to bring on the two sisters that we have. But before we do that, we've got a couple of things on the menu. Coming up on September 13th, Monday. This is a Monday Chopping It Up session. Brother Irritated Genie will be leading this community discussion, and it is Breaking the Silence, Real Testimonies on the Jab. And if you know what I mean by the Jab, also known as the Fauci. And we'll be discussing people who have received the Fauci and have had adverse reactions to it. And so people will come in and give their testimony to that. And this will be at Everlasting Life Cafe, 9185 Central Avenue, Capitol Heights, Maryland, 20743. For more information, you can email unity@straightblackpride.com. And this is a free community event, meaning that if you're in the community and you come to the event, it is free. The live stream, I believe, will be $10, and the live stream will be available at sbpmu.com. That's sbpmu.com. And let's see that. Oh, also the live stream will begin around approximately 6:20. So again, that's free for a live audience. Breaking the Silence, Real Testimonies on the Jab, also known as the Fauci. Come and tell your story, or that of friends and family, and the reactions that you had to it. So that's Brother Irritated Genie who will be leading that. And then 2 weeks after that, on the 27th of September, Monday, again, same time, same place, Everlasting Life Cafe, 9185 Central Avenue, Capitol Heights, Maryland. Be myself. And hopefully I had a flyer this week, and maybe I can get a commercial made and get that put up. I'll be leaving my second Chopping It Up session. The previous session was, I guess that's been 2 weeks ago now. Time flies. The previous one was We Exist Because We Have Resisted. This one will be The Truth About COVID-19. The presentation will be based on the book, and that book is available at warnhorizon.com. And if you follow me on Instagram, my Instagram is floating along the bottom. I have posted the book, and this presentation will be based on the book. It's about scheduled to be about between 60 and 90-minute presentation, and then a community discussion around it. So uh, those who have the book, or those who don't have the book, you can go to warrenhorizon.com. You can purchase the book from Brother Irritated Genie, and you can follow along with us on the presentation and be part of the discussion. Again, the same format. If you're in the community, you come out, it's free. For the live stream, it will be $10. And I will give you the information on how we will do the live stream. It's possible the live stream will be done from the YouTube page. It's also possible that it will be done by other means. And so we'll let you know that probably this week. So, with that being said, what we're going to do is BB40, brother, you got ripped off who's in the building. And he's doing the job of our wonderful producer. So, what we're going to do, we're going to bring on two of the sisters that we have. We were scheduled to have, man, we were scheduled to have five actually. I know one sister said she would be late, so we'll bring them on as they come, and we'll just go from there. So first, we got our sister Poetic Goddess who has her mic muted. Your mic is muted, and it looks like she's frozen. So I'm gonna let her get her technology together, and then we're gonna also add Sister Ebony. All right, Sister Ebony, are you there?
Yes. Can you hear
Oh,
me?
yeah. Okay, I can hear you. Okay,
Awesome.
because I thought you were on camera earlier, so then I saw you weren't. I'm
Yeah,
like, oh.
yeah, I was. I'm in the process of eating. I don't want to be like eating and being rude.
Yeah, those are things, you know. Trust me, I understand. You know, the beauty of having guests is I like to let them talk, and I like to lay back and do things that I don't normally get to do when I have to talk for 2 hours straight. BB40, the brother Elijah, and our sister Poetic Goddess still has her mic muted. And I don't think she knows that she has her mic muted. So I'm going to tell her that she has
She
her
got
mic
it.
muted.
Yep, she got it.
Okay, so we're going to let the person who's on camera speak first. Introduce yourself, sister. Wait a minute, she's muted again. All right. All right, Sister Poetic Goddess, introduce yourself, please.
I can't hear.
I cannot hear her either. Okay.
Let me put my food aside and there we go.
Show this. So she's frozen, or her mic's not on. I'm not sure what's going on technically. All right, Sister Ebony, you can introduce yourself.
Okay, hello. My name is Ebony. I'm 39 years old. I have two daughters, 18 and 22. I'm originally from Ohio, but reside in Georgia, Atlanta, Georgia. Um, I don't really have any credentials, but I'm just an up and coming entrepreneur. I just became conscious, like maybe I'm kind of new, so like 5 years, and that's it.
All right, sister. Now we're gonna try this one more time with our sister who's been on this show multiple times. We're not gonna mention her normal technical issues. This is not new. She's not new to the show. She's not new to technical issues. I don't understand why this happens. But peace to Sister Tila Nubia. I think I said B before the brother Elijah. And Sister Poetic Goddess, introduce yourself, please.
I still can't hear.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, we can't hear you. I don't know what's going on. So we're gonna we're gonna let her figure out her mic issues. Um, so while she figures that out, she'll get back up with us. So first of all, we don't have that many brothers in the chat, but when the brothers come in the chat, because normally the brothers come when the sisters show up. It's kind of like the club, that's the whole thing with the club. You let the sisters into the club, the brothers just automatically show up because sisters are in the club. Kind of like that. Um, but brothers, if you have any questions for the sisters as we wait to get our technical issues together so we can really, really get started. Um, okay, we got another sister coming into the building as well. At me, and I will ask the questions. So we got another sister that has just popped up. We're going to add her and let her introduce herself. Greetings, sister.
Hi. Hi everyone. I'm Chanel, and I'm based in the Virginia area, originally from New Jersey, and I have two daughters. I'm also an educator, and yeah, I'm glad to be on the show.
All right. Thank you for
Hello,
joining
Chanel.
us.
Hi.
And I will say this now. I'm gonna give a disclaimer. Other than Sister Poetic Goddess, she's the only sister that I know. So I'm just actually right now meeting these other sisters. It's not that I'm disowning them. I'm just letting y'all know. So,
Understood.
first question, because I have no idea if anyone's. I didn't ask this. I have no idea if anyone's marital status or anything like that. Is anyone married? If either of you sisters, are you married?
No.
No, I'm not.
Okay, neither one's married. Okay. So the question is, do you want to be married? Very simple question.
Um, for me, I'm gonna say no. Um, and that I'm not. I know that people probably be like, "Why not?" I just think it's marriage is just overrated to me. I mean, I just want a beautiful, lasting, long relationship. I mean, it's possible I could change my mind later on down the future, but I've never dreamed of being married, just having a long, good relationship. I mean, just from what I've seen and what I've heard by experience, I don't know. I never, it's just not in my timeline to be married for me. I mean, some people, I'm pretty sure most women would disagree, and that's okay. But as for me, I just look at marriage being overrated, and most women nowadays get married, more for financial reasons. It's not, they're not in it for the, other things like love and being, that's just my point. So, like I
Okay.
said, I might change my mind later on down the line, but as of right now, I don't look to be married to anyone.
Okay. All right. That's an interesting answer, and we're gonna go along that line of question before we get to the other sisters.
Okay.
Um. So you said it's not a goal, and you
And
said
I never looked at it I never looked at it as being a goal for me. I mean, I just never looked at it. I just, like I said, through my experiences through other people, it's just not something I looked at it as. I mean, because I feel as though, and I probably shouldn't have this in the back of my head, if the man decides that he no longer wants to be with me, he just to have that option to just leave. I mean, I don't know. I might
okay.
change my mind down the line, but maybe right now I don't.
Okay. I'm gonna ask the logical question based on what you just said, and
Okay.
we're having a discussion back and forth, but you just
Mhm.
said that if you get married, the man has the option to up and leave, right?
No, no, not like that. I'm saying, like, when I'm in just a relationship, I mean, without the marriage, if he just decides to do something and he's no longer happy, or he feel as though it's not working out, he just have that option without papers attached, that he can just go without all the, you know, extra drama to leave. I mean, that's just, I mean, it was crazy because I want more kids and I have my reason of wanting more kids, but I never looked at marriage like that. I never.
Okay. All right. Here's the next. Well, here's the logical question. Were
Okay.
your parents married?
No.
Okay.
No.
Were
Not my grandparents either.
and
No.
that okay, and that explains it right there. Yeah, we don't have to go any further. That explains it right there.
Okay.
And we'll get back to that because that's this is an
Okay.
interesting discussion. Sister Chanel, you look
Yeah.
like you're waiting. Like, oh God, please don't ask me that.
No, I'm just listening. For me, marriage is. I definitely believe in marriage, and I definitely um, envision myself as a married woman in the future. And so, the way that I try to carry myself in my mind, I'm like, I'm a wife, right? And I know there has there has been a situation where I have children out of wedlock, but I could have been married, right? But I made a decision based off of what I felt was best for me. And the way that I see it is, I think when I was younger, I looked at love or looked at being in a relationship more or less like you you need to be with someone who you are, yes, compatible with, but like are in love with. But as I gotten older, I think my perspective has shifted to, okay, marriage is political, especially nowadays when the nuclear family is being um, attacked, right? Like people sort of downplay the power of like two, like a, sorry if my camera's moving around a little bit. The people tend to downplay the power of having a male and a black male and a black woman together and having their children see that model, right? And I believe that in today's society as well, as we're seeing on social media like beautiful black families together and we see the glorification of marriage, we also get tied up into like, oh, marriage goals or relationship goals, where the objective it should not be, okay, for a woman, let me go ahead and get married because it looks good, but let me make sure that the person I'm with makes sense for me. It's not just about like, am I madly in love with them, but does it make sense? Is this healthy? Can we build something together? Right. And so some women might say, or some people even on this call might say, well, if I have two children or I've had children by a particular person, society might say, yeah, go ahead and get married. Why wouldn't you get married? And that's where, as a person, you have to decide, like, is this about what society wants me to do, or is this the right person for me? And so for me, it's not a matter of writing off marriage. It's about me being very selective. And sometimes women, we get we get criticized a lot because of the decisions we made in our youth, right? Which is why it's essential for people to get to know themselves first, especially for women. Who are you? What do you want? What do you like? Have you experienced living by yourself before? What do you actually want in a relationship? So that way, when it's time to go ahead and select the right person, you have no doubts, and you can build, a family with one another.
Okay. And brother, you got ripped off. Has thrown a bombshell in before I can even think of the next question. But we're gonna go with his question. He says, and either sister can take this. He said, "Where did you get your definition of love?" And then he puts in parentheses, imagery, peers, family, friends, and has that worked for you? Which I think, Sister Chanel, you kind of touched on it, but
Mhm.
you can go you can go ahead first and handle it.
Yeah. Um, Growing up, so my parents were not married, but they were madly in love, if that makes sense. I also saw um, not images, but I was around like my uncle and my aunt and my grandparents, they were married. And so I've seen positive images of love, right? And also my background is, um, I mean, I guess you could say Christianity, so to speak. And so from a religious standpoint, not even just religious, but from the standpoint of like what God wants me to do, I look at it as a covenant, a sacred covenant between one person and another. And I think that for me, that was something that was very important. Not, and obviously that's not something that I obviously stuck to. We all, no one completely walks a straight and fine line. Everyone makes their mistakes, but my values come from like, what does God want from me? And then also just like the positive images, like I said, that I've seen between a man and a woman coming together and building something that's strong. And I've seen the result, the product of that, right? I've seen my uncle's children and what they've gone on to do. But again, that's a whole nother story. I'm not saying that you got to come from a 2-parent home and you'll be great. I'm not saying that, but I do see the value in it for sure.
Where I get my idea from is my grandmother. My grandmother helped raise me, and she had a man, and they were in love. They did everything for each other. So far as growing up, I used to watch Bill Cosby. I used to be like, I want that type of relationship, what they have, because I loved how they, even if it was false or whatever, but I just love the ideal of it, of how the Cosby Show. I really didn't have no other idols to look up to, but what I seen on TV as far as the Cosbys and the situation my grandmother was in. So
Okay. All right, we got Sister Poetic got us back. My question is, and I've thought about this for a long time, and I actually in real life, not just here on YouTube, talk to a lot of sisters. And my question is, and any sister can take this one: did anyone, when you were younger, did anyone discuss mate selection with you all at all?
no, not in my household. That was never something discussed. As far as not in my household, it wasn't. I didn't have my father around. I met my father like maybe one time. But my mother, she was always working, so we had to go stay with our grandmother. But it wasn't discussed among her. We just what she showed us is just this is I just said that's what I want, but it was never discussed in our family. Even with my uncles and aunts, it was never a discussion.
Okay, Sister Chanel.
It wasn't discussed, I think, in depth. There wasn't a sit down conversation where, like my dad and my uncle said, this is the vetting process, right? More or less, it was like, make sure this person has some type of education or has some goals. Make sure that they have they're family oriented. They have values. Make sure they're respectful. And so those were some larger qualities that I always longed to look for, especially through exposure of like my uncles and my father. I'm able to see that instinctually and say, okay, that's kind of what I want. But as far as the vetting process, no. And that is something that I feel is missed, especially when a conversation occurs with among the women in the family, right? I think the men in the family need to have a sit down conversation with the females in the family to say, hey, look, this is how you properly vet a man. Because the reality is men tend to hunt, right? And a lot of the times women, we don't understand that not everybody who's attracted to you or you have a connection with is going to be the person for you. And that's where we get our feelings hurt, right? And so I think if we understand who we are and we do our vetting process, we're less likely to hop into a relationship that we'll regret or something that can hurt us. But those conversations definitely need to be had.
Okay, I suspected that. I just wanted to hear. And all right, we're gonna try this one more time with our sister. Greetings, Sister Poetic.
Her mic is
Hi, can
Oh,
y'all hear
wow.
me?
Yes, we can.
Yeah.
I will never try to sign on here on my iPad ever again, or my computer. It's just not working. Hi guys, greetings
Hello.
everyone. Good evening. Hi
You
Ebony. Hi
you're a little
Chanel.
low volume wise.
I'm gonna switch. I just need my phone to charge up a little bit, but I'm gonna switch to headsets in a few. But how bad is the sound? Like, is it bad?
I can hear.
It's just a little low. You good.
Okay. Hi guys, greetings everyone. I'm so sorry. I was ready, I was prepared, but my technology wasn't. I'm Sister Poetry, aka Cam. I hail from Texas by way of Queens, New York. Been a follower of Mr. DC Radical for some time now, and I'm really excited to be on this segment with you lovely ladies. I've been listening in. I'm like, the phone works perfectly fine. Let me switch to the phone. So I've been listening in, and I love the topic so far. Really, really excited just to be here and just to be a part of this discussion because we don't get to talk about this too much with our ladies. So appreciate it being here. That's pretty much it. Thank you so much, DC Radical.
Okay. Sister Cam, did you hear the question? Real
I
the
didn't get
quick.
to fully hear the question because I was switching devices, so I didn't fully hear it. But I did hear. I think it was Ebony. I think it was a question about being around male figures, if I'm not mistaken.
No, the question was, has um the idea of mate selection, was it ever discussed with you when you were young?
No, unfortunately not. I literally had to unlearn a whole lot in my life, and I'm still unlearning and relearning a lot. So, unfortunately, it was not discussed on how to choose a mate. It was just choose somebody that loves and cares about you, or you'll find somebody that loves and care about you. But it wasn't like a discussion because, unfortunately, I have that mother that thinks that she doesn't need a man for some reason, but it's really unfortunate. It's really really sad that I have to teach her that, and I'm younger than her. So, yeah, no, it wasn't taught.
You know, sometimes you suspect things. Well, actually, you kind of know because I'm older than everyone here, but you still want to talk to people and get their perspective. And it's so interesting because, and I can't speak for other brothers, but my especially, it's so funny. My father would just ask questions like, "Why do you like this person?" Blah 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 blah. But my mother was like clear that, hey, you want to make sure and check out this person and make sure you do this and get the wrong person pregnant, you basically can ruin your life. You know what I'm saying? And that was kind of drilled in my head. And so it's interesting that most sisters I talk to say that discussion was never had with them. And it explains some things because it's very important. And I think in different ways, I think, at least as far as love and relationships, I think women are more affected by what the media propagates than men. On other things, the media affects men in a different way. And I think different media affects different people in a different way. So, for example, when I was growing up, hip hop really affected the way young men thought and acted, much to our detriment in a great many ways. And I think that, at least talking to different women, the the how can I put it, the Hollywood romance paradigm, I think, has shaped women in general, but and sisters to a degree, how we think about love and relationship and things like that. BB48 or BB48, man. And so that question that I asked, I mean, it answers a lot of things. And in reality, it goes back to the breakdown of the family. because that lack of balance from gathering everyone's answers, that lack of balance of having male figures in the household and around to teach vetting and to vet themselves to like I can't what was it, one of the Bad Boys movies, for anybody that saw that, where the young man came to the house and all the men were all the men were there.
I like that.
um and it's funny because I, as a man, been in those situations where you come in the house and the relatives, they check you out and they talk to you, and I've done it as well with brothers, with certain family members, where I just check the people out. Now, the reality of the situation is people still make their own choices. You can vet the person, you can tell the person, you can be like, hey, I like this guy, blah blah blah, and you got ripped off, said that's Bad Boys too. And people still make their choices. The marriage discussion, though, that was this interesting. What Sister Ebony said. And when I was talking about marriage, you got go ahead, sister.
Yeah, I wanted to just go off of what Miss Poetic Goddess said about the mother not needing a man. That's how my mother's mentality is, and it's still like that till this day. Like even the age that she is, it's still like that to this day. But I don't teach that to my girls. I do explain to them what type of person to look for in a mate, or as they get older. But my mother still has that type of mentality to this day, and she, even though I'm single, she'd be like, "You don't need a man." I'd be like, "Mom, yes, I do need a man. Like regardless of how you feel and your experiences of what you went through with men, which I feel is like they were bad choices for her because she didn't really, look further into that person. But I mean, my mother still had that mentality to this day, and I just think that's just crazy. But especially the age that she's at.
Yeah, and what it goes to show is, whether we like to admit it or not, we're all affected by our parents, and we inherit certain ideas, and we also inherit certain personality traits. And it's so funny, the older you get, the more obvious it becomes, where you just do certain stuff, and you're like, oh my goodness, I'm turning into my father. You know what I'm saying? Or turning into my mother or whatever. So I was hoping the BB for Hodier man had a question. But so let me think. All right, let's see.
Brother Conrad, can I say something?
Sure, go ahead.
Just to make things clear, I don't want anybody to think like my mother kind of stained me or anything, because my mother has only had 2 mates in her entire life. So I can't even be mad at her for the way she viewed things. She's an older woman who came from a different type. She was with my father pretty much up until I was 5 years old, and then she remarried because as I saw in the beginning of the show when we were talking, a lot of things affected my family. So my father, he chose a different lifestyle. My family is not fully American. I'm a Caribbean first generation woman, Black woman who, was affected by the crack epidemic. So, we're coming here from another country and still being affected by things that was put in place. So she saw what happened. She ended up remarrying when I was about 9, and but that situation didn't work out neither. But she taught me a lot when it came to making sure you're doing right by your mate. It's just now that she's older, because people, chose the path that they chose that were in her life, she's like, you know what, I don't really need them. I've done fine without them. So that's why she has that mentality. So it's nothing to go against the grain, like, oh my God, my mother's been around the block. She's mentally been around the block because she's seen things, especially with my siblings, my sisters, but she's just in another state. She's just she's ready to leave this place. So she's kind of like mentally fed up and frustrated. So that, I just wanted to clear that up.
Okay. And let's see. Oh, somebody was asking the ages of the young ladies. I think Sister Ebony already answered that question. Y'all can answer that or not. I'm not asking as a man. You never asked that question as a man. Sister Tila Newby is the one asking that for anyone that wants to know. So y'all can answer at your own leisure or not.
I'm a 90s baby.
You're a 90s baby? Okay.
I'm 39.
And Sister Poetry turned her mic off, so she's not answering that question. I'll
How
just
old do I look?
Look, a safer question should be which generation are you of? I'm a millennial.
yeah, and I actually know I know Sister Poetry, I know her age. So brother, you got ripped off, said, is the black see, I was gonna ask this question, but I was gonna ask it differently. He said, is the black man your ideal mate? And what masculine traits or what traits must he have? Sister Ebony, I guess you can take that one.
Yeah, of course. Now, in the past, I have, because I didn't know any better, dated other races, but of course, a black man, he can't, and I heard this previously, and I agreed to some of it. He can't be attracted to the opposite sex. He has to be able to take care of his kids if he has some. What's the other one? Just has a good spirit in general, not a known person that's been out there with a lot of women, because you have a lot of men that's been out there and then come back and be like, well, you can't turn a hoe into a housewife. But it's like, okay, you can't really say that because you are what you attract, right? So I mean, yeah, I mean, my list is it's not a lot, but it's small at the same time. Just, and he has to be a good protector. I want somebody to be able to protect me. So
Okay. You want somebody to be able to protect you. What kind of trouble do you be
yeah,
getting into?
I don't get into no trouble. I'm just saying, if a situation occurs, I want him to be like, okay, look, we not about to do this. Is my woman. We not about to do that. That's all. I'm not a troublemaker person at all. I don't even like trouble. I don't even like drama. So
I'm just messing with you, sister. Sister Chanel, next question. I mean, same question, excuse me.
Absolutely. I feel like the black man for me is home, right? Where I can relate and I feel really connected. I feel protective. And I think a part of what makes him ideal is his natural masculinity, right? Also his understanding of um, what it means to be black, right? I think there's also this underlying, like, this morality that I don't really see in other men. I've never dated outside of my race. However, I've noticed when other men from different races have tried to approach me, it's it's all about physicality. Like, I think for them, they want to be, they attempt, or they look at the black woman as more of a fantasy, right?
yeah,
So it's all about wanting to touch you, or they're dancing. I'm on the dance floor, we're dancing, and it's like it's too much. I'm like, hold on, this is not. I'm not here to satisfy your fetish, and yeah, so it feels uncomfortable. So again, the black man is home. I think also politically, it makes sense for me. The black family is being attacked, right? In many different ways. We could talk about that. I'm sure that's probably going to come up at some point. And so, in order to save the black community, like, I think it makes sense.
Okay. Sister Poetry, same question.
uh-oh.
And we just lost her. Okay.
I'm here. I'm here.
Okay. Yeah,
Can you
your
hear me?
camera went dark. We can hear you. Yeah.
Yeah, for some reason it jumped off the screen. So yes, to the question, the black man is definitely my ideal mate. Um, Growing up Caribbean, I am Jamaican and part Cuban, Afro-Cuban, by the way. So when it comes to males, I have a different type of selection. I am looking for the pro-black Caribbean. not the Bible thumping, Jesus peace wearing Caribbean. So that has been a challenge in the Caribbean because a lot of people don't know that in Jamaica we have more churches than any country in the world. So that's a whole situation within itself, and especially coming from a major religious family and coming into this my own and straight black pride and everything, it's been a challenge for me. So when it comes to males, I'm just looking for somebody to teach me, guide me, build with me, because I am an empire builder. I work in finance, and my main goal is building an empire for the black family, because where we are now is not what I like looking at, and I'm just trying to do better by us by any means necessary. So that's been my major thing, is trying to find that balance in a mate that understands that we're here to build wealth, we're here to build a foundation, and similar to what Ebony says, protect me. You know, I'm gonna have your back. I want to make sure you have mine also. So that's been like my major forefront, but also be my best friend. Be my best
Mhm.
friend. I had a conversation. Not gonna say the person's name because they're on the show, but I had a conversation the other day with someone, and they said, women think like the black man is here to go outside and do their nails with them and things like that, and I'm like, I don't want them in the nail salon with me. Like, no, we could go to shoot range together. That's fun. But no, that's the kind of protection I'm talking about. That's the kind of best friend kinship that I'm talking about when it comes to building. So that's my major, and props to you got ripped off. Thank you for the compliment, King. So yes, black man, ideal mate. Yes, it is. Yes, he is, wherever he may be.
Okay. And you kind of intimated, and I'm not sure if you meant to intimate, because that you would you're looking for. You made it sound like you're only looking for a person of similar ethnicity, as far as like being from the Caribbean. Was that okay? That's not what you meant to say. All right, cool.
No, I'm open to all black men that are focused on nation building and that are focused on straight black pride.
Okay, I just wanted to clarify that because I did not want to, I didn't want you to. I didn't want brothers to be like when they see this, be like, "Oh man, I thought I had a chance," you know. Uh, So, good brother BB40, man, with a question. He says the kind of black man you're dealing with is as important as dealing with any at all. He says, what adjustments would you make to date a race man, a warrior, a fighter? And when he says a race man, I'll give some examples. He means like Marcus Garvey, Malcolm X, um, um, Huey P. Newton, those type of brothers, those types of brothers that will probably be on, well, not probably, but will be on the front lines, that will be going against the grain, that will be ostracized by the greater society and targeted by the greater society, which means there may be some hardships in that type of relationship. So his question is, what adjustments would you make as a woman? Well, first of all, hold up. The actual question is, one, would you want that type of man? And then two, what adjustments would you make to be with that type of man? And then brother said Dr. Khalid Abdul Muhammad as an example as well. So whoever wants to jump on that grenade and answer that question, go ahead, sister Chanel.
Yes, I'll jump in. So for me, I I'm open to that, and I've tend to attract the mindset that I tend to attract you know men with that mindset, and so for me, like I'm gonna give you a prime example. So my children's father was like, saw me going to the beauty supply store, and he's like, "You going to the Korean beauty supply store?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I got to get my little, get my little stuff on my hair." And he's like, "Nah, we don't support that." And so this was in college, and he's a black nationalist, right? And so for me, I was like, "Oh, okay." It didn't dawn on me that these folks are coming into our community and taking over and capitalizing off of us. And so that shifted my mindset. And so that's something that was an adjustment that I had to make, but I felt comfortable making it, right? And I think when you have a man who is, and he's also very much like straight Black pride, even though it might ruffle some feathers, right? And at first, I'm giving you all the examples. We were in college, right? I was invited to sit at a panel discussion, and the women who were leading it were, some of them were lesbian, right? And so we were talking about like women literature or something. And I'm sitting there just, trying to be on the panel. He's, in the cut just watching me. And a woman made a comment like jokingly, like, yeah, some of y'all men be careful because we might take over or something like that. And he made a face like, and I knew he was going to say something. And I was like, oh, don't say nothing. And at the time I felt like, I was like, oh my gosh, I don't want him to say anything. And to this day, he's like, I'm mad that you didn't let me say what I wanted to say. Right. And so I thought about that, and I'm like, his voice is so powerful in that, yes, it might ruffle some feathers, but it needs to be said because people really moving crazy out here, and their thinking is in alignment to white thinking. Right. And so that's another adjustment as a Black woman who wants to be, you know what I'm saying, building with a Black man who's very strong-minded and is going to stand for what he needs to stand for. You need to be thinking about your thinking, and you need to support that man and say, all right, let me learn what you're learning. Help me to become well-versed. And no matter what, I got your back. Like, how we gonna move, right? And so before getting into a relationship, you really have to educate yourself on the why, and not just get in just because, oh man, like Shazza from from what's it called, from a different world, right? You don't want to be so enamored by this Shazza and be blind to like, what is this brother really saying? Because then you'll get lost, right? It's like you want it for show. No, if you're gonna be with this person, you're gonna need to be like a Betty Shabazz and be in alignment, especially because the world will try to attack. And this person more than likely needs to have their own business because corporate America isn't having that. And yeah, that's my spiel.
My thing, I'm all for it. Like whatever adjustments need to be made, I'll make them. I'm all for challenges, whether it's my first time going through it or not. I'm all for the challenges. Mine's is short and sweet and short and sweet, however you want to put it. But I'm all up for it. Whatever, long as he's willing to be able to be patient and help teach me, because you got some men that are, like that, and they don't have the patience. They don't feel like you worth the time to teach. I may not know a lot of things, and like I said, I'm freshly new to this, 5 years. I don't know a lot of stuff. I'm learning as I get older. Plus, I'm self-teaching myself a lot of things right now. So I'm open-minded to whatever. If he has a discussion or a topic come up, I'm riding with him. Because if it needs to be said, it needs to be said. I don't whatever it is, as long as it's the greater good for the community. So,
Sister Poetry.
You ladies are definitely correct on everything when it comes to teaching. I heard both of you guys say it. Like, I'm still learning also. So a lot of guys in the conscious world, or the woke world, I should say, they don't realize that we're all learning. We literally had to unlearn a lot of stuff. So me being with the race man, that is ideal. That is literally my ideal type mate. As I said, protector, someone that's there to teach me, someone that I can be with and say, hey, this person I know has my back. This person I know we're going to build something great with. This person, I have no regrets on the decision that I made to be with them. So going back, just know that we're both in this for the long haul. So it's major. It's a major part of being with someone. It's a major part of connecting with someone. And it's not just physical, it's mental, it's it's emotional, it's spiritual. It's literally a dance that you're going to be doing from here on out. And yes, people do grow apart, things do change, but don't make that change be something that will push you out of the movement. Make that change that is something that, even if things do go wrong with the two of you, you guys built something so solid that people still have respect for both of you.
I
Yeah,
like
and
that.
that's is that's very important because this is one of the things that happens a lot that I've seen over the years is that you'll have a sister, she'll come into the movement, and she'll usually sisters come into the movement because they met some brother and they liked him or they like what the brother said or whatever. You know, they may get together, they may not, but it's usually because of a brother. And then if they have a falling out, whether it's a friendship they have a falling out or a relationship they have a falling out, then the sister will fall right back to whatever she was doing before she met that brother and go right back out the movement. The second thing I've seen a lot of too is I've seen where a sister will come into the movement because she's looking for a man. And then she'll meet her brother, and then she will literally just drag that brother out of the movement slowly but surely. I've seen so much of that over the years. I could sit here for the next half an hour and recount stories, but I'm not gonna do that because that's negative. But so that's interesting that all y'all sisters said that y'all are not only willing to be with a race man, but I guess in a way looking for a race man. Don't make me test that theory because there's some solid brothers in here on this stream that I know personally. So if I send them your way, no, I'm just playing. Let's see.
Come on, matchmaker, come on.
Let's see. Straight Black prior to the war report, he's come in since the last time we talked. And Sister Two and Nubia had a question. Oh, her question was very simple. She said, "What is your definition of being pro-black?"
Oh man, so fast. Oh, give me a minute.
What's that song? Black on black. That's it. That song sums it up. I'm done. I have nothing else to
Yeah,
say.
I know, right? No. I mean, I like I said, I've experienced other races naively because I didn't have anyone or adults or anyone to tell me that wasn't cool. So I'm here all for the black man, just black only. I've only experienced one other race, and it was like the worst thing ever. So I mean, that's when I was in my early 20s. So I mean, it's black or nothing. So.
Sister Chanel, what's your definition of being pro-black?
Hmm. Being pro-black is celebrating who we are as a people and also being very, very, very adamant about going against an oppressed society or system that wants to be a part of our destruction. So pro-black to me is not just aligning with whatever is black, right? But it's having the discernment to know what is deteriorating our culture, right? Right now, a certain type of culture like hypersexuality and you know what I'm saying, real I'm trying to be careful with my words. But I'm just saying like what's the music industry is trying to portray us to be, right? That is what I'm going to fight against because to me that's anti-black. That's a product of a system, right? That's keeping us in this mindset that we happily go into. We happily go into these little labels, and we glorify our struggle, we glorify our trauma. And so to me, being pro-black is not just everybody in the kinfolk, is having discernment to say, player, you need to get it together because that's actually anti-black and you doing it against yourself. And so yeah, that's pretty much my summation of that.
All right, I have a question because you kind of tiptoed around it, so I'm just gonna go ahead and ask this question. How difficult is it as a woman, and I think all three of y'all kind of in the millennial range. How difficult is it as a millennial woman to take a stand against the homophile agenda in today's
Woo!
society?
Can I
If you say, go ahead.
No, go Ebony. No, Ebony. Let me get my thoughts. Go ahead, sis.
It's hard because it's like if you against something, you get bashed, ridiculed, put on a cross, burnt 13 times. It's crazy. It like, okay, I don't know if anybody know about the little, I'm trying not to say his name, but the dude with the belly with the pregnant or whatever. Like
Yeah,
we had a discussion. We had a
we know you're
discussion
talking
about that on Facebook. And I was just telling them, don't be sharing the pictures because it's giving him momentum. And they're like, what you got against? I'm like, wait a minute, y'all don't see what's going on, and then you got some people that's supposed to be woke that was even like on. I'm just like, I don't understand. Like, what the hell is going on? It's mind-boggling. It's really, really mind-boggling. Like it's a lot of things I'm against, and it's like you can't even have an opinion about certain things anymore as a female. They want you to ride this train. It's like, I don't want to be on that type of train. That's not the train I want to be on. It's I can't even explain it. That's how crazy it is. It's crazy. It's so crazy. Like I can't have this because I have a brother that's like that. And we can't seem to have this discussion in our family. It's like everybody think you against it. It's like, no, what to each his own. What you do, but it's just like you don't have to be putting all what you like out there for everybody, because everybody don't want to see that. Like I don't want to see that. Like, I'm so happy. I probably shouldn't say this, which I don't care, but that they canceled the Pride here, because I don't want to in the future, have kids and walk downtown and seeing my kids, and they seeing that. Like, to me, that's disgusting. I don't want to see that. Like, I'm happy that didn't happen here because of the pandemic. I'm very happy they canceled it. So, I mean, it's crazy. It's really crazy. I mean, I can talk about it all day long, but it's like if you don't have people that's in agreement or at least approve of what you're talking about, it's like all hell just breaks loose. It's crazy. It's crazy. It's really crazy.
Can I give y'all an example? Okay, I'm an educator in DC. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
During the remote session, we had a PD, or not even a PD, it was a quick meeting.
Wait a minute, hold up, sister. Before you speak, you're an educator in DC. Are you sure you want to say this on camera? I'm just asking when you go.
I'll wait. I'm bold like that, though. I'm bold.
The reason I asked,
no, but I'm not gonna go into detail, but I can just. I think it's appropriate for me to share what happened, and I think it's important for me to share what happened. I don't think it's something that I'm not gonna really share my thoughts right now, but I can just state what happened. So a few of my coworkers, talked about how it's important that we have, that we build a community that's in support, and we have a club, right, that's in alignment with this movement. And so my pushback was, okay, right, and I told them, I said, I'm going to be very careful with what I have to say. I said there is a sense of urgency around creating a club for students for this particular movement, but where's the sense of urgency to really talk about the history or really talk about generational wealth? If we want to talk about, and one of my coworkers who was leading this conversation was white and the other was biracial. And I'm like, if we want to talk about helping the students within our demographic, let's really talk about how to really help. I said, because whether they identify as a girl, a boy, or whatever the case may be, they're going to be targeted face first, visually. What do they look like, right? And so the conversation was just about making sure we use their appropriate pronouns. And then they also said this is without, the parent's disclosure. And as a parent, I'm like, I feel funny about that. But the point I was making, was it is important that we understand what the priority truly is. And this is, if whatever you want to do, if however you want to identify, that's your business. But if we're teaching Black and brown children, if we're standing up for their rights, we have to first and foremost teach them about who they inherently are outside the guise of slavery, right? And we also have to make sure that they are financially literate. So that was my argument. After I made that comment, my principal decided we were going to have a whole staff workshop before the school shut down for the summer, and said that we are a LGBTQ tolerant school. Like, this is what we do. We need to make sure that we are pretty much they were saying like this is non-negotiable. And I was quiet, and I said, oh, this was definitely because of what I said. So that sums it up right there for you.
Can I say one more thing? I also took my child. My family members is mad about that. I just took my child out of public schools because of what the curriculum was. And I got a lot of backlash from her father. And I'm like, well, where you at? You don't see what's going on. Versus where you at? Because he's incarcerated. So I'm just like, I took her out of school because of the curriculum and what they was trying to teach her. And now he's like, why would you do that? I'm like, well, in all reality, she can always go and get her GED if she wants to. Or, I can, because she doesn't stay with me. She stays with her other family members. I'm like, she can always go and, get her GED if she wants to. And I was just ridiculed for that. Like, that was the worst. He felt like that was the worst thing I ever did. Yes, it was her last year of school, but I'm like, you didn't see the curriculum and what they was trying to teach her. Like, why would I want her that to be, something mentally that she, be engraved mentally in her head? I don't want my daughter learning about stuff like that. So no. But my family members was upset at me, and I'm just like, I don't care. So
Sister,
that's it.
Poetry.
And I definitely applaud both you ladies for your stance. Because at the end of the day, having a plan for our children is major. And the plan that they got going on right now, I don't have kids personally. I literally raised a bunch of them, but I don't have any of my own. But the plan that's needed for the children is major, because what is going on is out of control. This situation is out of hand. It's like similar to what Chanel said. Why are we pushing this so hard and we still can't get reparations for our people? Like, I don't understand why this is at the forefront all of a sudden, and it's out of control. Like, when are we going to have a voice or have a say in anything? So I'm glad that you pushed back, Chanel, but that's literally my stance is it's out of control. I'm sick of it. I'm really, really sick of it.
Another thing that I want to add on as well, like, I have a sister who's 23 and she would be considered Generation Z. And she told me, she said, yo, like, in my generation, it's like to be heterosexual is like to be boring. Right. And so my pushback also is that, okay, this has become a trend at this point. Children, literally, they think it's cool. And so my pushback there is, okay, if we're gonna be a school, well, let me not talk about that no more. If we're gonna have these conversations with kids or whatever, is the school counselor gonna be involved? Like, are we gonna have legit conversations about how they explore these things within themselves and how did they identify? Like, don't make it something that seems like this trendy celebration. And to, just to make it very clear, there have been activists in the 60s and the 70s who were a part of the LGBTQ movement who do not like the capitalization of Pride Month or Pride Week and all of that stuff. To be 100% clear, Another thing that I noticed is, if you pay close attention, white people don't necessarily have a specific civil rights movement to align themselves with. This movement is their movement, which is why they're so gung-ho. So I pay close attention to the white liberal. During the protests as well, I noticed Starbucks, for example. Hear me out. I'm like somewhere in DC, and I'm like, oh, okay, they got the pride flag, but where's the Black Lives Matter flag, or the whatever the case may be? I question these things. So this isn't a matter of me stating how I feel about it and me being anti whatever. It has nothing to do with that. It's important that we point out the facts and pay attention to how these things are being asserted. It is a civil rights movement now. It has now been incorporated to the Black Lives Matter movement. Pay attention to how these things are being weaved in, right? Homosexuality, that's been around since the beginning of time.
A long time.
I'm not having an argument about that. You feel me? What you do is what you do. But let's pay close attention to who is behind the thinking of it, the thinking around the trend of it. Little not, you know, what you, I don't know if I'm supposed to say his name, but you know, the guy who's pregnant.
I know you're talking.
I don't know how these things work, and I don't want to get
Yeah, you go ahead.
That boy is making mad money. Mad money. Pay attention. Who is getting celebrated? Who are the spokespeople of it? All of a sudden, celebrities are talking about, I'm pansexual, I'm this, I'm that. That is by design. That's coming out of the woodworks, and people aren't paying attention to the trends. So again, my last point is, what's up with the sudden push? And if you are truly talking about the brutality that occurs, the discrimination that occurs with that particular community, why does it seem more like a celebration of who I'm having sex with, as opposed to the real like brutality that comes with identifying? Right. And so I don't know if I'm misspeaking, but that's what I'm seeing. And that's what I have a problem with, because the children are seeing the bright colors. They're not understanding the true reason why this movement even exists. And that's confusing for them.
Okay. So let me say this real quick. And we can wrap that up, because you touched on a lot of different things. First things first.
I got something, sorry.
No, hold on, sister. Let me finish. In order to understand anything that's going on in the world today, you have to study Zionism. The quote unquote white people that you see that are liberals, they're all Zionists. What our current situation where the economy got shut down and we all had to sit in our house, and that's the Zionist. Everything you see that you're not quite sure and you don't quite understand, and I'm getting some feedback from someone, I don't know who that is. That's the Zionist. So when you ask those questions, even the curriculum, how it gets in the curriculum. And I don't know, is that my microphone?
Oh,
it is.
But it is? Okay. Okay, now I don't hear it. All right, cool. But yeah, even the curriculums in the school, all of that stuff comes from the same group of people. And so the reason I said that is to clarify. So even when you see the rainbow movement, the people who claim culturally to be the people of God are also the people behind the rainbow movement. And that's where we get confused, because it doesn't make sense by what we think about them. But these are also the same people who benefited greatly economically from slavery. And so this is something we have to understand. And I try to always, try to make it as clear as I can, because it's very difficult to see on the surface. And they do that on purpose, so that not only that we get confused, but other Europeans get confused. And so one of the things they like to do is, the reason why we see Little Nas X at the front of this stuff and other Black celebrities at the front of this stuff is so that when the other Europeans get tired of it, we are the ones that look like we're behind it, as opposed to the Zionists being behind it. So
Because
I
look at
I just wanted to clarify that. And if you go through my channel and you go through my page, you get a lot of history about that. We've covered extensively the whole LGBTQ thing and we'd be here for days talking about that. But yeah, just like I said, just go through the channel. Also, my brother Irritated Genie has covered that extensively for almost 30 years now. If you don't have his book, get his book. Also by Baruti. And once you read those books, you'll have great clarity. And BB48 man says small hats and the rainbows go hand in hand. Absolutely. Oh, Brother Lord Vale says, Brother Lord Vale has a question. He says, being that the women want a race first man, does the man have to follow a certain ideology such as Hebrew, Moorish science, Islam, Kemetic science, etc.? That's actually an excellent question. Sister Poetry, you want to cover that one?
I don't understand the question.
You say you do not understand the question?
No, break it down for me.
He's saying, does the race first man, does he have to follow a certain ideology?
No, they should follow the straight black pride ideology. I ain't looking for nobody that's running around religious. No, thank you. You are not going to indoctrinate me back into religion. You are not going to enslave me back into that movement. As a former diehard Christian, nope, I'm not going down that rabbit hole. As far as Islam or Hebrew, I don't really know much. I've had past relations with Muslim, one Muslim person that was my high school sweetheart, but they barely even practiced it until after we were together. So we're not going down that rabbit hole. Is a no.
Right. Same here.
Spirituality all the way.
It's a big NO.
The person who I decide to marry absolutely has to have an understanding or relationship to God. And I say this because I've dated someone, my children's father is very much Black nationalist, but also has an understanding of who God is. And I think that's where, and it's interesting because a lot of my friends who I hate to say conscious movement, I don't really know, folks who are knowledgeable and educated and aware of their history, right, will disagree. But I think when I shed light, it makes them, I think they start to shift their thinking, because I think it's not necessarily about religion in the sense of how it's been presented or westernized. The way that I see it is, as Black people, right, along the African diaspora, I believe that we are a part of the 12 tribes of Judah. You know what I'm saying? And so, but that's besides the point. I'm not going to go there. When it comes to a man having an understanding of who God is, he moves differently, right? He becomes less susceptible to feed in. And I'm not saying that all brothers are like this, but I believe that there's this inner compass, this boundary that is set when it comes to being like hypersexual or like having a tendency to want to step out of the relationship. And I think there's more of a desire to do what God wants him to do. And so for me, and there's also a compassion that he may have for other people. That doesn't necessarily mean that he's going to compromise the mission to help Black people. But I believe to be Black is to have an understanding that God lives within you, right? I'm not saying that we're gods. I don't necessarily believe that. But I believe in one God, and I believe that we operate with the Spirit. We have the ability to create, right, what we think, what we speak. And to me, I believe that's a part of who we are. I believe that we are the children of Israel. And so a brother who I'm with will definitely have to see the need to help the Black community, but also have to have a deep, deep desire to want to follow after God. So.
Y'all waiting on me? I'm in agreement with both of y'all. So I mean, I don't know any other background. To me, Black is a religion. Just all, I don't know anything about Buddhism, Muslim, Israelites. I haven't cared to look further into that. So I mean, I'm sorry, my answer is short. It's just, that's all.
It's all in a matter of knowing thyself at the end of the day, and knowing that, similar to what Chanel said, walking that that you're within you, that's where God pretty much lives. I don't believe in Black Jesus, white Jesus, or dreadlock Jesus coming down to save us. That's not something I believe in, but I believe that we have, similar to what Chanel said, we have the power to create anything and everything that we want.
All right. Quickly, let me greet Unique One Express and Brother ProBlack and Plant Based. And also, let me do shameless plug. You can follow me on Instagram at dc.radical1, on Twitter at dc_radical_one, on OTWTube at dcradical1. The Cash App is $DC Radical One. And of course, this is the YouTube, capital D small C Radical One. And the email is dc.radical_one at protonmail.com. Now that I have finished saying that, let's see. I thought brother BB40, man, said also please pick up Baba Olatunji Mwaba's book as well, where he deals with the LGBTQIA, I think that's all the letters, movement. We had that brother in town. He did an excellent presentation. It's an excellent book. I haven't gotten all the way through it, but I highly recommend it. And I'm trying to think. We have gone through so much stuff. Oh, here's a question. And actually kind of touched on this a little bit. How important is it to supplement your children's education, whether they attend public school or private or whatever you do? How important is it to supplement that education within the home? And anyone can take that.
It's very, very important. I'm hoping I feel like I'm if I have more kids, I'm doing a do-over, because I'm not gonna lie, I wasn't educated far as Black history. Like I said, I'm still learning everything on my own. Because I didn't teach that to my kids, because that wasn't something that was taught to me. So if I'm able to have more kids in the future, it's very, very important to me. I would like to teach them as much knowledge as I know and pass on to them as much as possible. So I mean, because I didn't know, it's in back home, stuff like our history wasn't taught. Like I know a few people like Frederick Douglass, a little bit about Marcus Garvey, Fred Hampton, but it wasn't a common topic to talk about our history back in Ohio. So I mean, to me it's very important now for kids to know now. But like I said, I'm hoping to have kids in the future so I can teach them the knowledge of our history. To teach them our history for my future kid. I don't know if I said that.
Yeah, for me, it's crucial, especially as an educator. It is very important. I noticed that the kids don't have an understanding. Like, for example, I had a student who's a junior, and he's like, "Oh yeah, didn't like Malcolm X, like, wasn't he like preaching hate or something?" And I was like, I almost had a heart attack. I was like, "Who taught you that?" And he's like, "My teacher in middle school." I said, "Your teacher in middle school was wrong." I said, let's break this down, right? And this is me going into what they say lecture mode, but they listen. I'm like, do you understand how? Do you know why Martin Luther King seems to be more celebrated than Malcolm X? I'm like, but people don't really know, like, the Martin Luther King, like, prior to when he died, right? And what that collaboration would have meant for us. And I said, Malcolm just had a matter of fact, no nonsense attitude. And he was very much clear about his stance, and he was able to express his point very well. And so that was something that was feared and intimidated. So anyway, what I'm trying to make is history has to be taught effectively. I even noticed that students are starting to, they're tuning out. When you start talking about slavery and everything like that, and Rosa Parks out in the bus, they tune out. They tune out. And I noticed, I was like, wow, okay, I get it. Because there have been moments when I'll create a lesson plan, and I'm a little radical, y'all, just a little bit, but I know how to navigate a little bit. Anyway, so there have been moments where, certain parts of, like, for example, what's the documentary called? It's Hidden Colors, right? There are certain parts of Hidden Colors, especially the one that talks about, like, the African presence throughout the world, like that first documentary, I have shown to students, right? And so this basic history that they have no knowledge of the Moors, and their eyes open wide. You feel what I'm saying? This is the history that they're like, wow, yeah, okay, let me sit up in my seat for this. Who is Mansa Musa? What? They don't want to keep hearing about slavery. They're sick of that. It doesn't feel good being taught that you're that at one point in time you were considered to be insubordinate. I mean, not insubordinate. Sorry, subordinate or inferior. Right? Teach the history and keep it moving. Talk about the revolution. Right? And so, yeah, I'm sorry, I'm long-winded, y'all. I just love talking about this. I have children, and I know for sure they're going to be taught all about their history. And it's if you're going to talk, and this is another argument that I make, if you're going to talk about Asian history and Latin history and history, European history, how are you going to touch upon all that before touching upon African history first? It started with us. And I think just giving basic exposure, whether through images and just having casual conversation, it starts to be embedded in the kids. And then they start to have such a love and confidence in who they are. And I'm telling you, once that seed is planted, it can't be taken away. And the education system is definitely not going out of their way to teach true history, for sure.
And I think the reason why the kids are becoming boring with history now is because they only know about the same ones that they hear about. Rosa Parks, Martin Luther King. It's the same people every year over and over. Like they don't talk about other revolutionaries. Like there were other revolutionaries, they just don't talk about it. So I feel as though if they incorporated, different other revolutionaries, then it'd become more interesting. But they just talk about the same people over and over and over. They're not the only ones that made a difference, So I mean, everybody froze.
Sister Poetry.
I definitely agree. I definitely think it's really, really important. And I think we've touched on this topic in past shows that I've been on, in the past show that I've been on. It's very important that my children, I don't believe that I'm sending my kids to any public educated school or any private school or anything of that sort. My kids will be homeschooled. I've been ridiculed well before this pandemic about homeschooling my kids, and I'm shaking my head at my friends that were ridiculing me, like, now look at you homeschooling your kids, huh? Enjoy that. So yeah, when I told them I'm gonna homeschool my kids, or I don't believe in jabbing my kids, oh, your kids are gonna be weird, and I'm like, what? Now look at you homeschool your kids, jabbing your kids, shame on it. So it's really important, and this is where finance comes into play. And it's not that I like talking about money. It's literally at the forefront that black group economics plays a major part in educating children, and people don't realize that they can snatch your kids up from you because you don't send them to school or you're not following a certain type of curriculum. But at the end of the day, if you got money, you could do whatever the hell you want to do with your kids, and making sure that they get the right type of education and how you want to bring them up. So the one of the things that similar to what Chanel said, the creator, I don't know if you guys know, he's coming out with the Black Sands guy. That is major. And if kids saw something like that, like we know growing up, like when we saw Black superheroes, we were mesmerized. So the simple fact that we learned something new, very similar to what Chanel said, just showing them something. Kids are sponges. They learn at a very young age, and they take in everything. So just at the beginning of their prime, when they're growing up, just putting that out there and showing them, like, listen, we weren't just slaves, we were kings, we were queens, we were people that had a whole system, you know, and things got wiped away from us. Letting them know, like, they're know thy enemy in a nutshell. So if you're not teaching your, if I have to teach my kids that when I do plan on having kids, like it's major, like at the forefront. And I digress.
Okay. BB48 man had a question, and I missed it, but I believe his question was, if I can find it, what is the minimum yearly income that a brother has to make for you to take him seriously? So I'm gonna let Sister Poetry answer that question, because she always talking about that good old dollar bill, y'all, as Wu-Tang said. So Sister Poetry.
Oh, you're gonna put me on the spot. I see. All right, thank you. I just like I shot my wage, I shot my wage in men too. Don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. If you want more money from me, I'm not gonna be mad. I'm gonna be mad. Getting the feedback. Can y'all hear that? Okay. Can y'all hear me now? Okay, cool. Yeah. As far as how much income he has to bring in, as long as he's responsible with his money, that's major. As far as figure, I don't have a figure. I'd like to put it out there because I've written that in my dream book and things like that, but in my goal book, like it's major that you put that down. But I don't want to share that on here. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm not going to share that. But as far as wage wise, I shot my wage with men too. So not trying to go above and beyond, you know, but it's major that he has an income coming in and he's able to sustain himself and, you know, outside of myself. So that's a discussion that I have between me and my goal book.
Sister Chanel, would you like to answer that question?
Yeah, I agree with what Poetic Goddess said as well. I think the man has to be like fiscally responsible. That is 100% true. Like, it will put you in a bind if y'all are together and that's not the case. And so to me, that's very important. I think realistically, making, you know, I don't know, anywhere between like 60,000 and up, I think that's a safe bet. But like, let's just say you're really connected to the person and you guys, you know, this person is decent, this person is really responsible, and they're making 40,000, whatever, but they have a plan, then, and you see they're putting that plan in motion, then okay. But yeah, it honestly depends on the situation. I gotta see their discipline. Like, I gotta see that, like, okay, this brother is consistent, he's responsible, he's disciplined, goal oriented, and I need to see these actions, and then I'm cool, I'm straight. It'll help me relax and be more feminine. Like, I think sometimes it puts us in an awkward position as women where we can't really be ourselves. Like, I want to go and buy, nice things for my home, or I want to be creative. And I think that when you're always having to worry about like what bill is not paid or how am I going to cover this, it puts us in a position that we don't want to be in, and it's awkward. And it also causes a lot of issues between you and your person. So,
Sister Ebony.
I had got booted off. I don't know what the question was.
The brother asked the question. And I'm getting some feedback. So can you turn me down? Because I think I'm coming through your speaker. I'm getting an echo.
It's the same volume as it was before. I didn't turn it up or turn it down. I just unmuted it. That's all I did.
Okay.
Okay.
What was I getting ready to say? Oh no, the question was how much does a brother need to make yearly for you to take him seriously?
To me, as of right now, I can't really say because I'm still getting myself together. But I would say he would have to be somewhat frugal because I'm a frugal person. I don't spend a lot of money. I shop at secondhand stores sometimes. So I mean, I don't know. I can't really put a number on that as of right now because I'm still getting my financial affairs in order.
Okay. Now here is the question that I'm sure every brother wants to ask but hasn't asked. And Sister Ebony, if you could mute your mic. The question is very simple. Since we've seen you sisters for the last hour and a half, everybody seems very intelligent, very energetic, conscious, and all this good stuff. Nice looking. It's the obvious question. Why are you? Well, hold on. Is everyone single? Is the question, and if so, why? And anyone can take that.
I'm gonna go first. I'm single. I feel like I probably had an opportunity to be in a relationship. Due to my own stubbornness, I felt like as a man he should come chase me. But other than that, I'm just single, and I'm not gonna be what most women gonna say by choice. I'm just single because probably a potential partner just haven't really flowed my way. And like I said, I met one, but me being stubborn, I just felt like he was supposed to come chase me. And we had plenty of encounters. We just never really talked. And I feel as though I'm not really knowledgeable. Most men want you to be, when you're being a part of something, you want to be knowledgeable in some areas. And I don't feel like mentally I'm there yet. So I mean, that's just for me. I mean.
Okay. Mr. Poetry.
No. It's one, by choice, and two, it is because I don't believe that a lot of people, I haven't found my equally woke, equally yoked person fully yet, and until that time, I'm just here dating with a purpose.
Okay. Well, let me hold up. Let's go back. You said by choice, right? I don't want to misquote you. You said by choice. Okay, clarify.
Slightly by choice right now. I'm working on self. There are some things that I know I need to work on. I'm not going to lie about that. Am I a good catch? I'm not going to lie. I am a good catch. I'm single. I don't have children. I know, Brother Conrad, you have your views on that one, especially with my age. But I believe I am a good catch. And that's been a discussion around friends, and that I have female friends and male friends that say, you are where you need to be. It's just finding the right person that has the similar mindset as you. if I do end up finding someone, they either wearing a Jesus piece or they are hypersexualizing blackness and it's out of control. So I just stay in my lane and work my magic until I get to that equally woke, equally yoked person.
Okay, Sister Chanel.
It's by choice for me. I think, like, for example, I know for sure I could be married and I can have that familial piece where, you know, the father of my children, like, we're all together. But I have my reasons for why I am a little reluctant to move forward with that. And as far as dating goes, I feel like right now I'm focused on my purpose. I'm focused on my purpose. I'm focused on um, uh, making sure that my children are okay and making sure that I have that time for me, because I think to, I guess, jump out of something and into another, I don't think that that's really necessarily wise. And for me, I know whoever I'm supposed to attract, I want that to be, even if I'm supposed to have a connection with that person, as long as it, if it's meant to be, if I'm seeing some shifts and changes and I see that we can really be in alignment, then I'm all for that. But I have to be clear. I'm not pressed for the relationship right now, because I know it's not about just being in love and having a ring and saying, oh, I'm a wife. It's about, like, okay, am I healthy? Is this person healthy? Am I in alignment? Right? And is this person the person I'm going to build something with? And if so, then I'm ready to rock and roll. And so until then, I'm focused on what I gotta do and my babies.
All right. You just mentioned a word. Um, and so I'm gonna ask this question. What do you think are the qualities that a woman has to have in order to be a good wife?
Okay. A woman has to definitely know herself, self love, right? But then also have the ability to be nurturing and be able to anticipate the needs of others, right? This doesn't mean this person is going to be, I mean, this woman is going to be a people pleaser, right? You're not a doormat. You don't necessarily got to be in the kitchen slaving, right? But you for sure have to have an understanding of the person you're with. But I think the more you know self, the more you can stand firm in who you are. You're clear about who you are. You're clear about your boundaries. You know how to communicate those. It'll make it easier for that person to understand you and for you to understand that person. So to me, that's important. So I'm gonna name those three again. Definitely, like, awareness of self, confident, and then also like a nurturing spirit, basically.
Uh, Sister Poetry.
What was the question?
What are the attributes that a sister has to have to be a wife?
Attributes that a sister has to have that to be a wife. Let's see. Definitely femininity. That's major. Able to balance home, work, life. Able to understand her mate, and able to give and receive at the same time, because there are certain people there are certain women out there that do shut out love and are hard to love. So make it easy for to love or be loved, and definitely able to maintain a household and keep her mate happy, not just mentally, physically, emotionally, not just sexually, but mentally, physically, and emotionally.
Okay. And Sister Ebony.
It's a long list, but I'm only gonna name three, which they already named. The big one is nurturing, learning how to balance a household plus yourself, um, and communication. Communication is definitely a key for me. So those are my main three.
I'm so
I'm
glad that
so
you said
glad
that.
that you said that.
because no one had said it, and I was waiting for someone to say it, and I was like, if we can't have any
Thank
communication.
you for that, Ebony. Yes, thank you.
I was just like, no communication, huh? And I'm like, oh, this is gonna be rough. But no, you covered that. So we got about 14 and a half minutes in the show before we close out, and I do not see any other questions coming through. All right, let's flip it. Do you all have any questions for me? I know Sister Porty doesn't because I talk to her a lot, so I'm sure she has no more questions for me. But yeah, y'all can ask me. I'll give you all one question apiece.
You know my question because I asked it to you the other day. Do you think that men and women, can be friends?
Okay. That is a difficult question because the whole friendship concept. I The way I look at it, I don't think that the friendship concept is an African concept. I think the friendship concept is a European concept. When, from an African perspective, you're either family or you're not, right? And so, from that perspective, can black men and black women be brothers and sisters? Yes. If you take it outside of that construct, then that's where you have the gray area and you have the confusion and we usually end up with one person who's more interested in the other person, and that's where all the things go off the rails. So I guess in a roundabout way, answering your question, the answer is no. You can't be friends. You can be brothers and sisters, but you can't be friends because when you start doing friend stuff, it starts graying the area and you start getting very close to, in in essence, boyfriend girlfriend stuff. Are we hanging out together? Or we going to the movies together, we going skating together, we going bowling together, we telling each other secrets and sharing all this information about, because you're building a mental bond. And literally, if a male and female are friends and you get close, the only thing you get to the point a lot of times where the only thing that you're not doing is interacting physically. So again, you see what I'm saying? You see how that causes confusion, and you know how that thing can go off the rails because we had that discussion.
So,
Uh, so that's my answer.
so I have a follow-up question to that. So you're saying if a guy, let's just say they're like, I don't know, in their late 20s, early 30s, has different like female friends. Oh, it's just a friend. Is it a possibility that that person might be open to dating them and just kind of like keeping them close? Like, is that like if a woman were to date a guy and they were to say, oh yeah, I have like a few like female friends, would, and let's just say, I don't know, let's just say it's like your daughter or niece or whoever that's saying, hey, like, so I'm dating this guy and he has these like girlfriends or whatever, what would your advice be for her? Like, what should she look out for? Or what should she question?
That mm, I would say it sounds very much to me like, because this would, there's a lot of talk in the male community about being friend zoned. Make no mistake, men of a certain quality friend zone women too, right? And many times a man will friend zone a woman, in essence, putting her in his back pocket for those times where he's in between, if you understand what I'm saying. He may not be interested in her as a mate per se, but he's keeping her around because things happen. You go on a losing streak, so to speak. I'm trying to speak delicately here. You see what I'm saying? And so, as a woman, if a man has a lot of females around him, whether they're friends or not, if they're not blood relatives, that's always possibly your competition. It's the same thing I would tell a brother. I'm like, if you have a sister and she has a lot of male friends, make no mistake, all of those male friends are interested in her. I don't care what any of them say. There may be like one who see her as his little sister or something like that, but everyone else, no. So I mean that's what I would tell them. I'm like, hey, this brother's very popular with the ladies. You're gonna have a lot of competition. Some of that competition is gonna be disguised as friends. And the minute that y'all have an argument or dispute or something, they're going to be saying, one of them or more is going to be saying, well, I don't think she really deserved you anyway, blah, 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 blah. And then you're going to be sitting on the outs and you're going to see him and that friend driving by one day, passing you in that car. And you're like, wait a minute, ain't that the same? Yeah, so, yeah, that's my answer to that.
So I have a question. So do you think it's not wouldn't say naturally, but is it okay for a woman to like pursue a man, or should a woman just let a man pursue? Well, it's two questions. Or should a woman just let a man pursue her? Because I mean, I feel as though a man should give chase, but
all right. I am going to answer this with an African proverb. And I always answer this with an African proverb. And the proverb states that a man chases a woman until she catches him, right? Now, when I first heard it, I had no understanding of this. But what the proverb is basically saying is that men will pursue a woman, but in the end, it's always the woman's choice. And what has happened for a lot of brothers, especially lately with this Me Too and all this stuff, a lot of brothers don't want to pursue because the energy that you use pursuing doesn't really benefit you in a lot of cases, right? So a lot of brothers have gotten tired of pursuing. So what I would say is that, and then again, this also depends on the quality of the man. If it's a man that a lot of women want, you are basically going to have to pursue. Like, let's say, I mean, I'm just using this as an example. Let's say you're in the movement and you see a brother that is he's very popular. It's like the Betty Shabazz Malcolm X thing. A lot of women wanted Malcolm X. At that point, you realize there's competition. If you don't openly pursue him, you're going to have to like place yourself literally in front of him so that he notices you, and then he will pursue. But there are times, like I said, depending on the quality of the man, where it may take a little more. You're going to have to drop some hints. And if the brother's like me and he doesn't take hints, because I'm gonna be completely honest, I don't take hints. I just don't. I don't do hints. I'm too old. You gotta say what you gotta say. Then yeah, you might have to just express yourself and just let the brother know. And then the good thing about that, if a sister does that, it clarifies everything, because then the man has to declare himself. He has to either say he's interested or he's not, and then it's over. And you can move forward either way. But in general, men will pursue what they want, but in today's environment, a lot of brothers really aren't pursuing like they used to, because there's a lot of downside to it. The downside is greater than the upside. Me personally, if you listen to my show and we talk about relationships, it is extremely rare that I pursue a woman. Like it is extremely rare, because what I'm looking for is extremely rare. You see what I'm saying? So for a sister to get my attention, you literally have to just be right in front of my face. Just be completely honest. And you have to literally throw up signs and flares and things like that. Then I'd be like, oh, that sister seems nice. But everybody's not like me. Some brothers, they love to pursue. and they love the game, and the chase and the hunt and things like that. Young lions like to hunt. Old lions like to be fed. To be completely honest, so I'm an older lion. Brother, you got ripped off sitting poking Jared's hide. Jared
Can I
told me
say something real quick? I'm sorry. Why don't you and Poetic Goddess ever
excuse me?
just you and Poetic Goddess get together?
Let me mute. Let me mute her. I don't even. That's so hilarious. We are nowhere near each other.
Wow.
Geographically, we're nowhere near each other. And yeah, you can talk about put on the spot. Yeah, Poetic Goddess, her mic doesn't work. So yeah, anyway, I don't. Well, now that we're finished with that,
Oh, I don't know.
I see she over there drinking water. That's my sister. You know, that's my answer. Right.
Can I add on to what you were about to say? I mean, what you said about the pursuit part.
Sure.
I believe that when a man knows that a woman is for him, and it's also depending on his values. You know what I'm saying? Some men don't necessarily believe in marriage and don't believe in those values or monogamy, right? You have some brothers out here who are like, I'm cool with polygamy, you feel me? And so I think it's about the kind of man that you want as well. And so the man, I mean, and I don't know. I mean, I always try to value a man's perspective because I'm not a man, but I'm just trying, based on what I know and what I'm trying to make sense of. I know that I would feel more comfortable with a man pursuing me. But I'm with you, DC, in terms of sometimes women, you know, we may have to drop a little hint, but it has to be subtle. Like, I think there's some women out here who be moving real crazy in that they put themselves out there and it's really not attractive. And this is coming from men who are in my family who will say that that's not attractive. They don't feel like they've actually deserved anything. And a man's nature is to hunt. And so if a man wants you, truly wants you, he's going to make that effort to like want to get to know you. But it doesn't mean that, you know what I'm saying, you just stay stiff and you're just like, I'm only going to text when he texts me first or whatever. I think there's a way where we can use our femininity to say, oh, okay, I'm interested. I'm interested to see what you got, right? What you have to offer. And I think there's a way that we can present ourselves that will make a man feel more comfortable pursuing us even more, knowing that they're not going to waste their time. So I don't know if you wanted to add on again, DC, to that point.
Yeah, no, I mean, I agree with that part. Then, and that's what I thought I clarified that, but maybe I didn't. But that's what I was trying to say.
For a woman, that could be taken like really literally, like, oh, I could pursue a man, like, and I think that you know, you're speaking from a male's perspective, but I'm trying to refine it. You know what I'm saying? Like, as a woman, and I think there's a way we gotta go about it that's feminine. But then again, I think some men, it depends on the value of the man. Some men like that. That's not the kind of man I want. But you know what I'm saying? To each his own.
But that's, I mean, one of the things I was trying to say, let me clarify, is that in essence, the way most men would like to be pursued is simply by the woman making herself readily available and giving the signals that she is available. You see what I'm saying? So now, because some brothers, a lot of brothers, if a woman is aggressive, then they start stepping back because they, you know, it just makes them uncomfortable. And a lot of brothers think, well, why is she so aggressive? What's her? Is she always like this? Is she like this with a lot of brothers, or, you know, what's her motive or things like that? So a lot of men think that way. Me personally, you know, like I said, I follow the proverb. You know, sisters pretty much most of the time will let you know if, you know, we're all adults, and they will, like I said, make themselves available and kind of they'll be in your sphere as a man. And that over if you're like me and you're slow, over time you just kind of notice that this person is just always there and they're always available and they all, you know, they would like your attention. And so that's the way, that's the best way in general for a sister to be pursued is to be available. And there are, you know, there's body language cues and things like that that let a brother know if he is in, if you're in the hunting mood or you're looking for a woman. Thank you, brother. Choosing signals. That's the word I was looking for. Thank you, Lord Bell. I sisters, you know, give out choosing signals, and brothers know how to read those signals. Even if sometimes you try to close your eyes, because you know, sometimes brothers don't want to see. You know, sometimes you try to ignore it, depending on the situation. But Lord Bell clarified it for me because I was looking for the word choosing signals, and the choosing signals are part of the African proverb because at the end of the day, the woman makes a choice. No matter how many men pursue a sister can have 100 men pursue her, but she might only be interested in two. And many brothers will ignore the choosing signal because they want to be chosen. But the brothers who are wise, they are able to tell. And you know, I've seen situations where a nice looking sister will come in the room because we have singles mixers with before the pandemic here in DC, and you can see, you know, brothers and sisters interact, and I observe those things. And you have times where a sister will get everyone's attention, and she's literally just waiting for the one brother in the room to come speak to her, and he literally will just wait out all these other dudes, and then you see them walk out together. You know what I'm saying? So she has made the choice while the pursuit is going on, and other brothers don't even realize that she's already made her choice, and her choice is the one person that's not even talking to her. So that's just an example of the things that you observe and the things you learn, you know, as a man in the dating scene. So I know a lot of sisters said they got to roll out around this time. I thank you all for coming on the panel. It was very enlightening, very entertaining. You know, keep in touch. All of y'all follow me on Instagram, so y'all know me. Everybody knows me. I am the one and only DC Radical One. You can find me on Instagram at dc.radical1, on Twitter at dc_radical_ONE, on OTWTube at DC Radical One. If you enjoy the content and you would like to help us out financially, the Cash App is $ DC Radical One. The YouTube, capital D, small c, Radical One, and the email is dc.radical_1@protonmail.com. And we are going to let each sister give their last words before we close out. We're going to start with Sister Ebony. Give us your last words. And she says no. All right. Well, Sister Poetry, you give us your last words.
Once again, Brother Conrad, thank you for having us. This was very definitely, I knew we were going to get put on the spot on why we're single and those questions. So I appreciated that one. Thank you for having us. Thank you for having this platform to have us. So that's pretty much all I got to say. I guess everybody now knows that, yes, we are single and dating with a purpose. So yeah, hi.
And I'll go. So I just want to say thank you so much for, opening up this opportunity for us to just, collectively speak on these matters that are so important. FYI, if my job gets compromised, I hope that people are going to be a supportive community base for me. This might be an incentive to jump into entrepreneurship. very soon. So show me love, y'all. Okay, I do it for the people. No, I'm joking. Thank you all. And have a good night.
Okay, now I go. I just want to say thank you. It was nice meeting you, wonderful, beautiful Black queens. And thank you, DC Radical, for having me on my show. This is my first podcast. Hopefully next time I could be a little bit more articulate on some things. But other than that, just thank you for having me on the show. And I love everything that you do. And thank you. Oh, and all right. Yeah.
Oh, you got some advertising?
Oh, yeah. Just if you want to get some merch, go to www.davidbanner.com. Get some merch. That's it.
Okay. All right. So really quickly. Thank all you sisters for showing up. Thank you for showing up almost on time. And thank you for having your tech mostly working, because that is not always the case. And with that, brothers and sisters, I thank you all for listening. I thank you all for subscribing. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. If you're not subscribed to the channel, please subscribe to the channel. And if you do not have an OTW2 page, please go over to otw2.com, make you an account. And when you make an account, send me an email to let me know that you have made an account so I can follow you back. And with that, I say a BB for Hodie and straight Black pride. Thank you for watching this video. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Also follow us on our other social media platforms. On Instagram, we're at dc.radical1. On Twitter, we're at dc_radical_ONE. And the Cash App is $DC Radical, the number 1. Thank you again.